Well, the time has come for another Gentleman Critics episode. This one is going to be a review of Deadpool, and as to the Gentleman Critics rule, we will set the timer at 20 minutes. Okay, I'm going to hand this one off to Alex as he is our Deadpool leader for this topic. Alex?
To start off, I'm just going to throw it out there, as you could already probably assume, I love Deadpool. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. I just think it's one of the more creative ideas Marvel has ever had. That's just a little personal opinion. But biggest news, I think, with Deadpool right now is that it topped $700 million total. Now, as far as domestic gross goes, he passed Iron Man with $328 million, which puts him right behind Guardians of the Galaxy at $333 million, which is just crazy. No one expected that kind of positive response to Deadpool. Everybody thought it was going to be a flop, which what I've heard anyway. Kyle, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's very monumental for a movie to, especially in the competitive superhero market. I mean, most people credit Iron Man with truly creating what we have here today as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So for it to be more successful domestically than Iron Man is huge. Absolutely huge. And I agree. A lot of people were very, very skeptical. I know that you personally have been talking about Deadpool for quite some time. And, after I started reading up on him and played the video game when it came out on the 360, I definitely became a huge Deadpool supporter. And there were a lot of people who were throwing a lot of shade and flack on Deadpool, thinking it wasn't going to be very good. And that an R-rated superhero movie wasn't something that we really needed. But I think that Ryan Reynolds definitely did a good job proving them wrong. I mean, he had a vision for this film 7, 8 years ago, and he wasn't gonna give up on it until it happened, and it was as good as I could hoped it could be.
What were your initial thoughts when you heard about the Deadpool movie?
My initial thoughts, you guys were obviously, a lot bigger fans of Deadpool before the film came out. Because I didn't know that much about Deadpool. I knew Deadpool. I've seen him in some things. I knew this was going to be an interesting movie. I wouldn't say skeptical, but I didn't know really what I was getting into with this film. I knew there was going to be a lot of fourth wall breaking. I didn't know it was going to be as good as it was in the film, though.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yes.
That was firing on all cylinders. Was the fourth wall breaking? It was top notch. I was so it was a general good expectations for it. The movie, but Deadpool, after seeing it, it was awesome. I would say Ryan Reynolds' performance. Nobody else could play Deadpool at this point.
You're
wow,
right, nobody could.
Nobody.
Yeah,
Fourth wall
it was
breaking.
fantastic, and that's another video I think we need to talk. Is Ryan Reynolds an A-lister now, and was he ever an A-lister? That's a big video. He possibly well could be at this point. The movie was hilarious. One of the best comedies I've seen in a while, and especially action comedy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
in a way, it kind of was a romantic comedy too. I mean, they played the love angle very hard, so it was, like you said, firing on all cylinders. It was a superhero movie. It was different. It was funny. They broke the fourth wall. It had a love story. It was rated R. It touched on so many things that you're not normally going to see a lot of movies in this world like Deadpool. So for us to get it and for it to be done so well by somebody who I feel, having seen the movie and what his vision was this whole time, I think that I can now say that Ryan Reynolds is definitely a Deadpool fan. He understands the character. He understood what we loved about him.
The biggest Deadpool fan ever.
Probably.
I mean, we all read the article that he, just like took the suit.
Who wouldn't?
Which shouldn't surprise any of us.
Yeah.
I love reading that Ben Affleck also asked if he could take the suit, and they were like, no, and he was just kind of like, okay. But Ryan Reynolds was like, I didn't ask.
I'm just taking it. I'm Deadpool.
Like, I am Deadpool. I'm taking the suit.
Yeah.
You should wear a very thick mask all the time.
All the time.
You're haunting.
Now, something to think about, Marvel has released a statement recently saying that they have no plans for any R-rated Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, including, Iron Man, Thor, Avengers, Civil War, all that.
Good.
Anything connected to
That's
those will
fine.
not be rated R. Now, do you think, because, the rumors of the Wolverine 3 being rated R, Deadpool was rated R, it was such a big controversy, do you think there will be an impact on the X-Men universe at this point in time because of it? Or do you think it'll be kind of a Deadpool only kind of thing? Kyle.
Well, that's a really interesting
Yeah.
question you just proposed there, Alex. I think that we're already starting to see immediate impacts, and decisions haven't even been made yet. The fact that we're sitting here talking about whether or not this is going to change the game means it probably already has.
I would agree.
And I think the Wolverine, Old Man Logan, absolutely should be rated R. And, personally, I don't think an X-Force movie should be rated R. Now, we'll get to X-Force later, but I feel like when they're going to be expanding in this X-Men universe, it's important to stay PG-13, but I want there to be implication. So when Deadpool does appear, I want there to be implication of rated R. A joke that he doesn't necessarily need to say anything to get the R-rated joke across.
I would be okay with that.
Here's what I
feel.
feel. Yeah. Here's what I feel. I feel Deadpool. A funny thing. I think you should insert him somewhere into like every single Marvel movie, just like a little cameo.
I would love that.
I would so love that.
The next Stan Lee, when Stan Lee stops cameoing, and then like little things, and then you could mention it's like, I'm not able to cuss in this film because it's a PG-13 movie.
I've always had this sort of image in my head of Deadpool in Infinity Wars at some point when, there's going to be some big battle going on, and randomly, out of nowhere, I want Deadpool to fly a jet into Thanos.
Can the jet kind of look like the Blackbird? It doesn't have to be the Blackbird, but can it look like the Blackbird?
It can definitely be the X-Wing.
Yes.
If you ask me.
Can that please be what happens in Infinity Wars? He just straight crashes the X-Wing into him.
And that's why I love Deadpool. What other character in a medium like this do you have that allows you to say things like that, to talk about topics like that? He's just there really is no definite answer as to what Deadpool will do next. And that's why I love Deadpool.
I think that's what makes him one of the best characters, is that he's so unpredictable. And even when it's not brought down, but like put up on a movie where everything kind of has to be solidified, comics can be a bit more random.
I agree.
Movies got to make some kind of sense, Mm-hmm. And I feel like the fact that they were able to pull that off just shows how flexible of a character he can be.
Yeah, definitely.
I've said this many times. I've said this before to my cousin. When I walked out of the movie, I was just like, I could watch like 10 to 20 more of these films. You just change a little bit and just have new jokes. But if you came out with like a Deadpool movie every single year with just a different scenario, I would watch it. I would pay full price to go see it.
I completely agree.
I 100%. Let me get a Deadpool saga.
Yeah, really. Well, I guess that would lead into. I think if we're gonna talk about Deadpool, we absolutely need to talk about Deadpool's universe, and the expanding upon that. And we already know we're getting a Deadpool 2. So, who are you looking forward to seeing show up in Deadpool besides Cable? Because we'll get to him.
As far as side characters go in a Deadpool movie, I want Logan to be there. I want the Wolverine to be in it.
Yes.
If not for a long time, I want him in there for just a little bit.
Yeah. I loved what we saw of him in Deadpool 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Cable, obviously, I'd like Psylocke, maybe a couple more X-Men. It doesn't have to be any specifics, but, expand upon the universe a little bit. Show us, because Deadpool, obviously, he goes to the mansion in the movie. Spoilers. Like the X-Men exist in this universe. That's pretty much confirmed.
Yeah.
Bring back Colossus and bring back Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Like
Definitely.
again,
Yeah, I think they
both
were really
characters
good
I'd
in
like
the
to see
movie,
again.
for sure. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Personally, I want to see Domino. I can't
Yeah,
wait to
yeah.
see Wade with Copycat and Domino, and he's just not gonna know what to do, and it'll be so great. And then hopefully by Deadpool 3, we can also work Death in there and just sort of get that whole love triangle going.
I would love if they put Death in one of his next movies.
That would be cool because then if they do ever decide to link Deadpool up to the MCU, they can have a Thanos Deadpool, and have
Oh my god, that'd be
have
amazing.
Thanos and Deadpool fight for Death's of affection, even though we all know what's gonna happen.
She'll be like, no, can't have either of you.
Yep,
Yeah.
nope.
I just want Deadpool to pull out that dimensional portal in his pocket and pull out a rocket launcher and shoot somebody with it.
That's the dream. That's the
That's-
dream right
I
there.
want him to shoot the rocket through the dimensional portal and shoot somebody in another dimension.
It just like it goes it like Iron Man's just like Tony's just running through New York and then just like psh, what the fuck.
Well, everybody
Where's
runs.
that-
He's got to be
Where did
running in the rain.
Yeah.
Can you be slow motion with Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk?
Yes, Mark Ruffalo needs to run somewhere.
That does bring up an interesting point. If I could say any way this movie could have been better, it's that they needed Mark Ruffalo, I think, to be in this movie, and not as Bruce Banner, but as a writer for the Boston Globe.
Michael
Hey, right.
Resendez.
Michael Resendez, yes.
He needed to be running too.
All
Yeah.
the time.
Favorite part in the movie,
Ooh.
Good.
Alex.
No, let me go last. Let me think.
Okay, you will go last. Kyle, take it.
I'm not sure this is really my favorite part, but the first thing that popped into my head was I love when Colossus and Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Deadpool all get in the cab and they ride, and then they start talking about the girl. And he has
The taxi drivers.
yes,
the guys
the
in
taxi
trunk.
driver definitely kidnapped his cousin. And Deadpool's like, "Oh, I did not tell him to do that. I'm so proud of you."
You need to take him back right away, and then he like pulls his
Kill
thumb across
him.
his throat. Kill him.
Mr. Poole.
Why the red suit, Mr. Poole?
I assume, as usual, a crisp high five for you, Dopender. 10.
Best side character in the whole movie.
Hey, where's your ammo bag?
Dang it.
I actually saw an interview with Ryan Reynolds. He was like telling us basically that they didn't have all these, like, basically when writing the script, Fox, they were supposed to have both times that he forgot the ammo bag. There was supposed to be initially a huge fight scene with tons of guns, both times. And Fox came in and said that it wasn't in the budget and they needed to cut it. And that is what they ended up writing, was the whole forgetting his ammo bag multiple times. And
That's
I
perfect.
actually think it worked better.
Yeah,
I did. That really did.
Yeah.
I would, if there was one thing I could say about it, I would let me get a little more action, because that's a big part of his thing. I mean, he's an ex-military, assassin guy, and he's been training all of his life, and he's got this super speed, super strength, the healing factor, and the movie was amazing in like every aspect, but it felt more like a romantic comedy than an action movie to me.
Which again, I think that goes to Fox. This was at the end of the day, Ryan Reynolds said, "We're not doing this movie unless it can be R," and they said, "We're not going to let you do it unless it's going to be PG-13, unless you work in sex and you give us a love angle, and we can sell it that way." And so in a certain way, Ryan Reynolds had his hands tied, but they really did give him a lot of freedom to write the movie he wanted to write. And I think that, if anything,
I believe that.
what we can see now is
Very
that
true.
Deadpool 2 is going to be even better. When they,
So good.
Way better.
now that they not only are going to have more money, but also have the backing of a production company that has seen that this movie can make that kind of money, even with
I mean, you got to
budget cuts.
think
Uh,
they brought
I,
this 100 million without running. What's going to happen when they give them a $400 like? Not saying it would be that expensive, but you know, the
Yeah.
film out there.
Jesse, you have something you wanted to say?
um, well, I mean, really though, I mean, I think the movie works so well as just a superhero film, and even though like even better than a lot of other superhero films, it worked on so many levels. The origin story part, that was maybe the only thing that kind of drew me out is when he was, with the girl and we weren't doing the action scenes. Because
Yeah.
yeah, Alex, yeah, there may be a lack of action in it because there was only maybe like two or three really big action scenes
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
film. And I thought the action was just top notch. And I would say one of my favorite that is, I think, my favorite scene of the film is when Colossus has him handcuffed and he cuts his hand off, and then falls down in the truck. And that right there is like, yeah, I could watch 10 to 20 more of these films just doing crap like that. That was fantastic. Wow.
Yes.
I think to make a decision, I think my favorite part of the movie is probably when Colossus goes to fight Angel Dust.
Oh,
And
that
he's
was
like,
so good.
Oh yes. Oh, I'm sorry. You're showing. You are beautiful. Oh, thanks. You're such a gentleman. I like how all
he just
three of our favorite parts involved Colossus.
he was
Yeah.
probably my movie.
He was so good, best supporting actor
You know,
in the
I
film.
read an article that it took 5 people to create that Colossus.
Oh, that's
They
crazy.
had
That's the
they had
Colossus we needed, though.
they had a guy stand in for the actor. They had a guy stand in. They had a couple guys stand in for the actual creation of what he looked like. They had a guy be the voice actor. They had another guy do the facial expressions. I think like they had so many people work together on creating Colossus, and it just worked so well. What a
It
great
really did
character!
though.
Yeah.
I love that he's eating cereal when as Colossus while he's seeing Wade do
He
this
just
on the
never leaves
news.
his metallic form.
Which I mean, if I was able to do that, I wouldn't. So I completely understand. Uh, all in all, at the end of the day, I think all three of us just just adored the movie. Um, I think Jesse, you've become more of a Deadpool fan because of how well it was put together. So that's
Oh
all.
yeah. I'm a huge fan now. The movie did it for me. It's gonna do with a lot of other people who don't know that much about Deadpool.
Exactly.
So
That was the real takeaway from this movie, I think,
It's
was
how
that
he could teach people about Deadpool.
yeah, like they really proved that this is a character that I mean, normally the origin of a character is a rocky thing to get through in terms of superhero movies. And with the rare things like Iron Man that really end up working out. And so for this Deadpool movie to come out like this, I really feel confident in saying that I think Deadpool 2 is going to be infinitely better. I think that Cable showing up is going to be so cool. They're going to have money, a lot more than they had before. So much more trust they've earned from the studio,
I would
so
agree.
they can do anything. So many more fight scenes. Well, we're sitting at about 19 minutes here, so I think we should all go
19
around
minutes,
before
cool.
we end and say what we would rate the movie. Jesse?
Jesse, what would you rate it as?
this was a difficult one for me. It was probably the hardest rating I've had to give so far. I was teetering on the brink between a 4.5-star rating and a 5-star rating for this film. Ultimately, I think I'm deciding to give it a 4.5. As much as I want to say that it's almost like the perfect Deadpool movie I could have seen. I don't know if it is. I think it's gonna step up from how good this is. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5-star rating. I think it deserves that.
Cool. Well, personally, Deadpool for me, it was special to me because I've been a fan for it for so long, and there were a lot of bumps in the road coming along the way. But I think as far as overall, the fun factor is what made the movie so good for everybody, I think. And I think that's what gives it I'm going to give it a rating of 4.5. And I think that's pretty generous considering it's a superhero movie. And I personally feel like superhero movies and other movies such as, The Revenant and Spotlight, it's two different kinds of film. One has to have a strict fun factor and the other has to have a strict, serious factor. And I feel like Deadpool did so well in everything it tried to do that it deserves a 4.5.
Cool. I would say I don't agree that it should be a 4.5, but I also I tend to rank superhero films, however good they are, below other films, especially when it comes to. I mean, I gave Spotlight a 5 and Revenant 4.5, so I would not put Deadpool with Revenant. So I would say that Deadpool was a 3.5 that worked so well that it became a 4. So I will say Deadpool is a 4 for me.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So I mean, like we normally say, if you like comic books and you like action, you should watch Deadpool.
Watch this movie. If you're not a child, watch this movie.
Yes, really.
It is rated R, so technically, yes, if you're not the age of 18 or 17 in some places, you cannot watch it, but it's highly recommended. Go see it.
And just catch us next time. Look forward to seeing you guys there.